This is video number 5 of the read and commentary of the Dialogue of the Savior. In review, essentially, the book opens up talking about the difference between labor versus work, and Christ points out labor are those things that cause you stress and unhappiness, really, whereas good works is doing the thing that God has brought you here to do, that seed within you. He goes on to explain to not allow the governors of this world, analogous to not only the governors of this world in a physical way, but also spiritually analogous to the archons, the demons, the demiurge, and how they will try to use fear and anger to dismay you and dissuade you from your path. He also talks about the difference between the left hand and the right hand path. The left hand path, the world telling you the only thing that really matters are things of the flesh, that we should chase after fame. We should chase after the lust of fame and glory and money and riches and whatever lust there is of the world, and that is all there is. The right hand path will try to entice you into dogma, whether it be a dogma of some kind of institution or some kind of political or religious dogma, and that dogma always comes with a price that you have to sacrifice yourself for, or if you don't follow what we say, then you'll be punished. Sometimes that dogma come from an actual religion, and a set of dictates they cherry pick from their so-called holy scriptures. It may come from peers, it may come from friends, parents, society at large. That is the right hand path. And the way of Christ, the straight and narrow, are neither of those, left or right, but rather that straight and narrow is the path that the Mother Father has laid out for you from the beginning, the seed within that Christ set as an example to follow. Few find the straight and narrow, and the straight and narrow is unique to you. That seed is unique to you, an accomplishment that Christ has placed within you. And Christ goes on to explain the importance of not worrying or being concerned, and that you are going to be taken care of by the Mother Father. He also explains about the garments that we take on in the afterlife should we find fulfillment from this realm and move on, and we're no longer having to come back because we're attached to this realm. And that new garment is translucent in nature. It's neither male or female, but rather is both. Then he goes on to talk about that particular garment. Mary wants to know, of all the things he taught up to now, there was so much there, so much abundance that was overwhelming her. She wanted to know, is there some way you can tell me the quintessential, maybe in one sentence, in one way, very short and concisely, what is the message? What is the truth? So that's where we pick up where we left off. She says, I want to understand all things just as they are. So she wants to know it exactly for what it is. She doesn't want him to hold back at all. And so Christ said, he who will seek out life, for this is their wealth. And again, that life is when you are inspired to follow after the thing that's been planted in you. That is the seed, the gift that God has given you from the beginning, the monad. And that is your path. And listen to that. And try not to chase after fame and followers, but those people that will hear your message will follow you naturally and be at rest on the inside. And so Christ says, you want to seek after this, for this is where your wealth lies. And we're talking about it in all ways. For the ... of the cosmos is ... So the things of the cosmos, is my guess, is poverty or something along those lines. We don't know what it says here, but I'm just speculating, because he goes on to say, and its gold and its silver are misleading. So again, it's that thing in you, that thing that is causing your life to be sustained. And once you lose track of that, that's when you start to lose life. His disciples said to him, what should we do to ensure that our work will be perfect? They understand now they haven't come here to labor, but they've come here to do a work, a mission, a particular mission that God has put in them to carry forth. And again, that can come in many ways for many different people and in different ways. And they want to know, how can we fulfill that? How can we make it perfect? And Christ said to them, be prepared in face of everything. Blessed is the man who has found ... the contest ... his eyes. So far, Christ is basically saying, this is everything that you want to live for, and not allow anything to discourage you. And understand that everybody and everything is going to come after you, and is going to try to prevent you of all manner of things that you can imagine. There are going to be naysayers. Neither did he kill, nor was he killed, but he came forth victorious. This person's blessed that he came in peace, and he lived peacefully, and he didn't harm people, really, or he didn't use some method whereby he led to some harm to people, really. And this is ultimately how you fulfill it in a perfect way, because you are ready to do this work in truth and in fullness, authentically, without falsity, without using others in a way that's harmful to them. Judas said, "Tell me, Lord, what is the beginning of the path is?" And he said, "Love and goodness." That's the beginning. Because in your seed has been planted in you from the love and goodness of the Father, Mother. And when you live in a space of loving your neighbor and not judging, and you're coming from a pure intent, that's what goodness means. It's not the things that you're doing to impress God or others, but it's the thing that you genuinely want to do, that's pure to do, the good that you want to do, to bring something of betterment to your fellow people, your fellow humans. For if one of these existed among the governors, meaning the archons, all the governors and dogmatics of the world, wickedness would never have come into existence. See, if they really had a pure intent from the beginning, the essence of who they are, and they're doing it out of love, and they're doing it out of the purity of their hearts, then there would never have been wickedness. Matthew said, "Lord, you have spoken about the end of everything without concern." I'm getting from this that Christ explains to his disciples that there's going to be a time when the ending is going to be here and you need not concern yourself. And so they want Christ to address this. And he says, "You have understood all the things I've said to you, and you've accepted them all on faith. If you have known them, then they are yours. If not, then they are not yours." So he's literally telling them this gift, this thing that's been planted in you, is everything. And that if you have that, you've got everything. That loss you're going to experience at the end will also be no concern to you. Because you are not this physical body. That's not the fullness of you. That's only a temporary part of you. The eternal self is far more valuable. And it's everything. So he's saying that you've got everything already that you ever need. If you really understood what I was saying, you would understand that, and you would have faith in that truth, and that you've always had it, you currently have it, and you always will have it. So in a sense, you won't really be losing anything. They said to him, "What is the place to which we are going then?" So they want to know, okay, you've explained that it's this place beyond, you've even taken us up to the sky, you've said that we take on new garments, but what is this place we're going to? The Lord said, "Stand in the place you can reach." So what is he saying? He's saying that you're going to go to the place in which you have achieved. It's like going to a different grade of class, right? Like if you achieve level 2, then you go to second grade. If you've achieved level 3, then you go to third grade, so forth and so on. Christ is not avoiding answering the question. He's answering honestly. You're going to be standing in the place you reach. Don't try to force it. It will come organically and naturally. Just listen to it. Do the work, of course, to cultivate it and follow that voice within, the seed within that Mona has placed in you. But don't go out of your way, to do it unauthentically, just trying to please others or even God. God is not there to try to be pleased. God is that you fulfill your joy, which is the seed in you blossoming forth. And you stand in that place and you will have reached where you're going. Mary said, "Everything established thus is seen." So Mary is basically saying, so you're basically saying that everything has already been preordained, sort of. God has sort of fated everybody. This is kind of what she's saying. It's like everything established thus is seen. Like God already knows what's going to happen. But Christ says, no, that's not the case. I have told you that it is the one who can see who reveals. So in other words, when you have your moments of gnosis, your epiphany, that's going to allow you to do your work. And much like a seed that ferments and then cracks open and breaks ground, that little sprout will reveal itself and it will become known. So it's not about it being preordained. What's preordained is the seed, but how you cultivate that and what you make of it is up to you. Do you ruin it and then it goes to naught and the seed just sort of like goes to the wayside or gets caught in the thistles? Or do you plant it into the ground, you cultivate it and you fertilize it and then it grows and then you keep working with it until it grows to be a big tree with many branches and then bears many fruit. And even then it could bear bad fruit, meaning rotten fruit, fruit that is not helpful, but that is destructive, or it can bear good fruit, meaning things that promote life and help people. So this is what is called free will. It isn't established, and that's not ultimately what we're going to see in the end. What we're going to see is the work that we do about the seed. That is what gets revealed, and it gets revealed when you understand, when you have moments of gnosis, epiphany, and you start doing the work. And that's what, you have that gnosis, that wisdom, to be able to cultivate and help that seed, like I said, germinate and to sprout and to reveal itself. His disciples, numbering 12, asked him, "Teacher, serenity, teach us, My guess he's saying, how do we remain in a space of serenity? That's kind of my guess. And Christ said, everything which I have, you will, you, everything. I'm just guessing again because so much of this is fragmented. But I'm guessing he's saying that if you follow after everything I've taught you up to now, you will find serenity in everything. Sort of what I'm guessing. And I don't know this for certain. So again, I'm just speculating. So Mary said, there is but one saying I will speak to the Lord concerning the mystery of truth. In this I have taken our stand, and to the cosmic are we transparent. That mystery she's sharing about the Christ. This is the one saying I will speak to the Christ concerning the mystery of truth. What is that thing called the mystery of truth? Well, the mystery of truth is that hidden seed in you. And so she's saying, this is the one thing I'm going to talk to the Lord about. She says, in this have we taken our stand. And that is the mystery of truth. That's where we're taking our stand. So he's basically confirming that I know what you're saying, Christ. I want you to know we know. And she's excited. She's wanting to go back. She's saying to the other disciples, I'm going to go back and tell Christ that I understand you, that we're supposed to stand in this. In this have we taken our stand. And what is that thing? Well, that's the mystery of the truth. And to the cosmic are we transparent. So in other words, be authentic. Don't lie to this world. Don't lie to the universe. Be authentic. Be who you really are. And stand on that truth. And then the mystery gets revealed, because you will then have seen, and then you will reveal. And that's the whole point. And when you revealed, you've completed the fulfillment. Then the sacks become full with the new wine. And then you graduate, so to speak, beyond this realm. Judas said to Matthew, we want to understand the sort of garments we are to be clothed with when we depart the decay of the flesh. And so they hear Christ keep talking about this new kind of flesh, this translucent sort of flesh. Well, what's it like? And Christ said, the governors and the administrators possess garments granted only for a time, which do not last. I'm not sure if Judas said to Matthew, because he literally wants Christ to describe, this is what we're going to look like physically, like visually. Or he was asking something different altogether. What are the clothes with when we depart the decay of flesh? What are we going to take on after we live this life and we part the decay of flesh? And so Christ says that the garment that you currently have doesn't last, that was given to you, that really is possessed. In other words, it's the demiurge and the archons in this world, the governors and the laborers and the corporations and society at large that basically owns your body. And you've got to follow its ways, or you don't have food on the table, you're not going to be able to pay your bills, you're not going to be able to live in this world, right? But you, as the children of truth, not with these transitory garments are you to clothe yourselves. Rather, I say to you that you will become blessed when you strip yourselves, for it is not great ... outside. Now, I'm not really sure what he says here, again, because it's fragmentary. I think he's just basically maybe saying that it's not as difficult as maybe you think it is to strip yourself of this garment. So how do you strip yourself of this garment? Basically saying be naked. So in other words, be authentic. Again, he never seems to directly answer the disciples, right? Not in the way that they're kind of asking it in their intention, but he is honestly answering them, because he's saying that you will take on the garment of whatever your nakedness reveals. In other words, from Christ's standpoint, it's like, what will the fat lady look like naked? Well, she'll look like a fat lady that's naked. That's basically what he's saying. And what will a skinny man look like when he's naked? Well, he'll look like a skinny man. So he's saying that I say to you that you will become blessed when you strip yourselves. So in other words, you will realize that you will take on this body and you'll see and you will feel blessed. And this next section, it just says, dot, 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 said, dot, 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 speak, I, dot, dot, dot. And the Lord said, dot, 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 your father, dot, dot, dot. So I cannot speculate on that at all. So let's move on to the next one. Mary said, of what sort is that mustard seed? Now, Christ is talking about if you just had the faith of a mustard seed, you would be able to do all kinds of miracles, basically. Mary wants to know, well, what is this thing that, why the mustard seed? What is its sort? What is its kind? Is it something from heaven or is it something from earth? Because from her standpoint, whether, Christ is using an analogy or he's literally saying the mustard seed has some kind of magic in it, probably he's using an analogy. But from Mary's standpoint, maybe she's hearing it literally and she's saying, well, maybe she's answering and also through an analogy. She's saying literally, what's this magic called the mustard seed? Is it from earth or is it from heaven? Or is it something altogether different? Like it's analogous to, the mustard seed being analogous to that seed that Christ always talks about that's within each of us, unique to each one of us. Christ said, when the Father established the cosmos for himself, he left much over for the mother of all. Therefore, he speaks and he acts. What is he saying here? Like, what does the mother of all have to do with the mustard seed? And what does it have to do with where this mustard seed comes from? Like, because Mary's like, is it from heaven or is it from earth? Well, first off, it's from neither. It's neither from heaven or earth. It's from the pleroma, right? The seed within all of us. So he's saying the Father established cosmos for himself. The cosmos is the whole universe. It's everything. It's the pleroma. It's this universe. It's everything. The cosmos, it makes up the completion of everything. It's not just this physical universe. The cosmos is bigger than the universe. It's everything. So he established that for himself. And remember, Christ is within you, God's within you. So he established that seed within you, right? He left much over for the mother of all. So in other words, though it's from the cosmos, it's also in the heaven and in earth. It's from that as well. Because that seed came to this realm, you see. And the mother of all represents the womb. And so it came from that womb. The will of the Father seeding the mother then produced all the multitude of seeds that are planted in each one of us. That's where that mustard seed came from. Therefore, he speaks, the will speaks, and he acts. The acts is the mother part. See, they work together, in other words. So Judas said, you have told us this out of the mind of truth. When we pray, how should we pray? Remember the context of the mustard seed during that sermon when he also talked about the way to pray. So this is contextual. And Christ said, pray in the place where there is no woman. When you're praying, you don't want to pray for the things of this world, in other words. The thing that is about trying to reproduce the flesh continuing its nature. Like in this case, the mother's having babies, the womanhood, right? Continuing the birthing process of this world. You want to be born again, meaning not born of the flesh, but born of the Spirit. That's what Christ is talking about. And so this is essentially pray in the place where there is no woman. In other words, pray in the Spirit, not in the world where you're trying to birth earthly things. You're not praying for things, like, oh, Father, give me much money. Or Father, give me that big house. Or Father, let me, marry that woman. Or Father, whatever. But instead, you're going to pray, Father, give me guidance of how to continue my path. Father, help me understand where I'm missing the mark of understanding. And therefore sinning in terms of what you laid out for me, what my path is. This is what he's talking about. Pray in the Spirit, not in the things of this world. Matthew said, pray in the place where there is no woman. So he's just basically repeating. He tells us, he's saying to the other disciples, meaning, and Matthew thinks that he understands. So he's sort of paraphrasing his understanding of what Christ's saying. Destroy the works of womanhood, not because there is any other manner of birth, but because they will cease giving birth. And this is a profound moment, really. And let's see what Christ answers. But Mary then responds, they will never be obliterated. So what is she talking about? She's not talking about womanhood. She's talking about this process of birthing will never be obliterated. Matthew has a very profound moment where he understands Christ isn't saying get rid of women, because earlier Christ talked about the mother of all. Women are essential to the androgen pair, the androgenic synergistic pair of the nature of the passive and the assertive, the silence and the speech, right? The voice, the word. These two are essential. And Matthew has that moment where he realizes, oh, Christ is not telling us that women are less than us. He's actually saying they're just as essential. He's actually telling us it's about getting rid of this attachment to this world and try to continually reproduce it. And that eventually we want to cease giving birth altogether, because our goal is to get out of this realm. And in the realm that's hereafter, woman has a different work to do. But she's no longer womanhood. She's no longer caught into the hood, but she is independent of that. She becomes as a man. Woman actually becomes no longer woman. She becomes mother. She becomes Sophia. And so you want to destroy the works of womanhood, not because there is any other manner of birth, but because they will cease giving birth. There is a different form in which we give birth, but not through the flesh. It's through the Spirit that we create. We begin to emanate, no longer creating, but rather emanating. Mary said they will never be obliterated. So the works of women, in other words, the feminine, will never be destroyed. By destroying the womanhood, we don't therefore destroy women. If anything, we set them free. So Christ then says, who knows that they will not dissolve? And ... 2 lines missing. So Christ then says, do you believe in this? Do you understand now that you're never going to be destroyed? You're not going to dissolve. Do you understand that? Judas said to Matthew, the works of womanhood will dissolve. ... The governors ... my guess is dissolve. Thus until we become prepared for them. I don't exactly know what he's saying again. I'm just speculating. But my guess is be prepared, because we're doing the work of Christ. They will come after us and try to dissolve us. But this will only be organic. That's why everybody will be fighting you, whether it's your parents or your pastor or your peers or your church or whatever is the left-hand, right-hand path, constantly trying to veer you off your path. They're trying to dissolve you from your work. And the Lord said, right, for do they see you? And that's the reason why they try to dissolve you, because they don't see you. Do they see those who receive you and your followers that naturally? No, they're not going to see. This is, rhetorical, really. Christ is being rhetorical. He's saying that's right, because they don't really see you. For do they see you? Do they see those who receive you? The answer is clearly no. Now behold, a true word is coming forth from the Father to the abyss. And where's the abyss? It's this realm. In silence, with the flash of lightning, giving birth. What is he talking about? A true word. Well, that true word is the Christ within. The first Christ, remember, John chapter 1 said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word walked among men, and men knew it not. And the Word became flesh. The Word is the mission. It's the work. It's the seed. The Word becoming flesh is when the work is completed. True Word is coming forth from the Father to the abyss, and that work is within you. It's seeding with you, and it will blossom forth from you, and in silence with a flash of lightning, and it will become revealed, giving birth. Do they see it or overpower it? So that's what they'll try to do. They'll try to either overpower it, or some people will actually see it. But you are even more aware of the path, this one, before either angel or authority has ... Okay, so you know they're going to come for you. So you already are going to be prepared. That's what Judas said to Matthew. The works of womanhood will dissolve. The governors will ... Thus will we become prepared for them. And so Christ is saying, yes, now you know this. So you know they will either see you or they'll try to overpower you. But you are even more aware of the path, this one, before either angel or authority has ... So you're more aware than they are. You are onto them. You see things they don't see. Rather, it belongs to the Father and the Son, because they are both a single ... So this Christ within you is literally God. So they're literally trying to overpower God. And so he's giving you the confidence that you cannot overpower God. Yeah, they may take your flesh away. They may try to say bad things to you. They may even try to take your job or fire you or try to reprimand you or ostracize you or kick you out of the church or put you in jail, whatever it happens to be. But they're not going to overpower the God, the Christ within, because that Christ within is the Father. The Father and the Son are one and the same. They're single. And you will go via the path which you have known. And you will go to that path that you know. That's that moment of gnosis, when you understand this is why you came here. And you will follow that path. And you will be on that path. That's the path of the straight and narrow. Even if the governors become huge, they will not be able to reach it. Because where you're going, they can't go, because they don't see. In order to go, you can't go. You will be groping in the dark. They'll be groping, trying to find you, but they won't be able to find you, because you're going to go to a place where you see and they're not able to see. But listen, I tell you that it is difficult, even for me, to reach it. So if it's difficult for Christ, it's going to be, you can bet you it's going to be difficult for you. That's what he's saying to you. So he wants you to be ready, and he wants you to understand it's not going to be easy to fulfill whatever accomplishment the monad has sent you here to accomplish. So that's what he's wanting you to understand. So Mary said to the Lord, when the works, which dissolve a work. Now, I don't really know what she's saying here exactly, but Christ said, right, for you know, if I dissolve, will go to his place. My guess is when the works that you came here to do will, then you go away. And so Christ says, that's right, I'm going. For you know that when I complete my work, I will dissolve and I'll go to his place. Where's that place? Well, where the Father is, the monad, the mother, Father. I will go back to that place. So he's saying, that's right. So Mary knows, she senses, he's telling her like, okay, you know, I have done my walk. I've come back from the resurrection, you know, or I'm going to the cross. So she knows that Christ is going to go to the cross. And she sees this now. Because Christ has explained, when you do your work and you completed that task, then the world will either come for you or it will be over for you because you've done it. Now it's time for you to go back. Judas said, how is the Spirit apparent? Remember, Christ earlier talked about revealing yourself. Mary also talked about being apparent to the cosmos, right? In other words, be authentic, right? Judas heard him. Mary kind of got it. She got it, and when Christ answered, Judas maybe didn't get it so much. And so Judas said, how do we become apparent, basically? How do we let the world see our spirit instead of just our works of labor? Instead, how do we get the world to see the good works? How do we get them to see that, reveal that, make it apparent? And Christ said, how is the sword apparent? Okay, what does this even mean? This is really cryptic, right? Well, it means it's setting a path. You're cutting a path. In tarot, we call it Ace of Swords. So you are ready to use that sword. Now, it's not violently, of course, because you know Christ, when when one disciples tried to cut off the ear, he healed it and said, this is not our way. He's, of course, talking symbolically here. He's saying that, how is the sword apparent? Well, how is it? Well, it cuts a path, doesn't it? That makes us know its purpose. Like we know we're taking a sword and we're cutting a path, the straight and narrow, so we go down a straight path. In other words, when we are focused on our path, nothing getting in the way, and we're just going to metaphorically use our sword to cut our way to get to where we're going, then people will recognize that. They'll say, what has that person got? They seem to know where they're going, and they seem to accomplish whatever they've set out to do. Well, that's the moment that you become apparent, you see. How is the sword apparent? Christ asked them. And Judas said, how is the light apparent? And the Lord said, ... in it forever. I don't know what he's really saying other than maybe stand in it forever and then you will shine that light. So how is the light different from the Spirit? The Spirit is the thing that moves you, right? The thing that makes you alive. It's that seed. It's the nature, essence of that seed. The Spirit that forever feeds you. It never is consumed. It is always present. That is moving you. The light is that thing that is healing you forever and giving you life, and it is essentially knowledge. That's what light is. It's knowledge. It is the light that you're seeing is where all of the knowledge resides in the universe. It's what's make everything function, and it's forever. Stand in that, you see, with that gnosis, that knowing that that light is from God and it's in everything, and trust in that and stand in that forever, and your light will become apparent. You will become known. Much of the way Christ glowed, they often talk about his raiment was glowing. And so Judas wants to know, how do I stand in that? How do I make my garment glow the way you make it glow? And he says, well, it's the mindset, it's the understanding that that's in everything. And you stand in that, knowing forever. And eventually, you too will take on that light. Who forgives the works of whom? So Judas understands, ultimately, this idea of forgiveness, right? Because this is what they're understanding Christ talking about. Like, forgive everybody, and it's sin, and you need to be forgiven of your sins. And so Judas says, well, who forgives the works of whom? He's saying, in other words, is God forgiving us? Or is the priest or other people that we did wrong? Or who's ultimately going to absolve us of this guilt that we're carrying around, the shame that we're not worthy of your love, and they're wretched and we're no good? Is it going to be God? Is it going to be people that we did wrong? Is it what? Who does this? The works which ... the cosmos ... who forgives the work. It behooves whoever has understood the works to do the will of the Father. And as for you, strive to rid yourselves of anger and jealousy, and to strip yourselves of your garments, is my guess, and not to not to dwell in that, sort of my guess. So, in other words, Christ is saying, you're going to forgive yourself. He says, strive to rid yourself, because these are the two things that cause you to carry the guilt and the shame and cause you to carry this burden that he talked about earlier. You're carrying a burden, anger and jealousy. Those are the two things. Now, he doesn't say the next 18 lines virtually are indecipherable, so they're not included here. So he goes on 18 more lines. I wish it were there, but it's not. But this is essentially where it ends, and he says, he will live forever. And I say to you, so that you will not lead your spirits and your souls into error. He didn't say sin, or, in other words, error in thinking. Right? You're not going to continue down that path of misunderstanding or missing the mark of understanding. It's not about forgiveness from others, or God's going to forgive you, or I died to forgive your sins and all of that. And there's nothing like that. You're the one that's carrying the burden, and you will let it go when you're ready to do that. And you actually understand God loves you just the way you are, and you're only here to do a work. God is not judging you. You're judging yourself, in that you're here to do that work. And once you've done that work and you've fulfilled it, and you'll live forever. And he said everything. He said all these things so you can understand that, and you won't be misled in your spirit or in your soul. That's really the dialogue he had with his disciples and Mary. So that he wanted them to understand that and to leave that with them, so that they understood now why they're here. They don't carry any guilt, fear, shame, or anger, or worry, any of that. That they just, this concern about whether or not they're liked or not. None of that. He basically wiped it all away. And then he left, and that was it. All right, so we have completed another text that ends Codex number 3. So we're going to be moving on to Codex number 4 in our next video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, have a blessed day.